To the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
To the approval of the agenda.
Mr. President, I move we approve the agenda with the following amendments. B1, additional certified classified personal actions for consideration, item number F3. B2, remove item number G1, revised board policy IDCE. B3, new item number G10, consider approval of purchases of functional academics curriculum for RISE classrooms in the amount of $17,700. B4, new item number G11, WordWorks purchase for first read.
Second.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? In favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The budget hearing for the 2023-2024 district budget. This time I declare that the budget or the hearing for the 2023-2024 revenue neutral rate is open for discussion. Are there any patrons who would wish to address the board?
Hello, my name is Ernie Wharton. I'm here to discuss the property tax increase on my property. New proposed tax property total will be a 9% increase from 2022's property tax. My home evaluation is an eye-popping of $36,000 additional for 2023. Increased valuations means there is severe inflationary pressure occurring that results in spell disaster for the average citizen. This town becomes but a windfall for the city and county when it comes to collecting taxes. Overall, when looking at quintile 2 and 3 for middle class, my property has been averaging about 8% per year for the last 17 years. In relation to income, current for 2023, it's 9.2% tax valuation. For it means a total increase of 972.4 in relative terms. On it, for the most part, the total increase for the last 17 years has been 134% on my taxes for my property. From 2949.16 back in 2006 to 2023's tax proposal of 691.2.35. In relation to the board here is, our ACT scores for 2022, according to the Kansas report card, was 17.7. Mississippi was 17.8. How come it dropped after COVID? From 19 to 17 has been steady for the last 3 years. So that's generally my question about it. And why do you propose a general increase in taxes? Occurring looks to be about 9.6% for USD-457. Capital outline is 13.11%, and 457 general is 10.02% increase. What justifies the increase with such low performance? Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any board members who wish to speak? There'll be no action taken this evening to approve this item due to a delay in the publication of the budget hearing in our local newspaper. The revenue neutral rate and budget hearing will be rescheduled to September 18th at 6 p.m. This will allow for the mandatory 10-day publication requirements to be met before formal action takes place.
Mr. President, I move that the revenue neutral rate hearing for the 2023-2024 budget be closed and rescheduled to September 18th at 6 p.m.
Second that with a clear question. Okay. Are we closing it or are we?
Closing it and rescheduling it.
It's been moved and seconded that we close this budget hearing and reschedule it for September 18th at 6 p.m. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Delegation, questions, answers, public comments? We'll move on to the consent agenda.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the consent agenda as second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? On to new business. New business item G1. Consider and approve the state contract quote from Global Industrial Storage Buildings, Shelves, Plant Facilities. The amount of $37,596.48. You want to speak to this?
Yes, I do. The purchase of the storage shelves for the new building. Plant facility storage building will be complete this fall and be finishing up pretty quickly. This building will need to be equipped with commercial grade shelving to store the panels and the pallets, the equipment on it. The state contract quote provides the district with a solution that will serve the district's needs. And as you stated, the dollar amount is $37,596.48. And once again, I'll approve as presented as what we're recommending, but that is up to you guys, and you do have the quote.
Been recommended that by the administration that we approve the quote.
Recognizing that that is state contract quote, I move that we accept that.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the state contract quote from the Global Industrial. Is there any discussion?
Is there a concern of like time frame of getting materials or equipment or?
I don't recall on the quote if there was a expected. Let me look that up. I'm not aware of any at this point, but that's not saying that it isn't delayed. I know that we have a delay on the forklift that's also on the agenda. But I haven't heard anything on that.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Maybe she just mentioned that, but I couldn't hear it. If we go with this quote, are we gonna get it in a timely fashion?
I don't know otherwise. I mean, the forklift is 30 to 36 weeks out. So my hope is that the shelving comes in before then.
Discussion. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the state contract from Global Industrial. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We'll move on to item G2. Consider the approval of state contract from the Heartland Seating, Kenneth Henderson Bleachers, plant facilities is the department for $88,271. Dr. Dominguez, would you speak to this?
Yes, sir. This is the home side. There'll be some wood, but of Kenneth Henderson, there'll be metal. We're asking the Board of Education to consider the approval. It is the state quote. So the bleachers have reached the end of their lifespan. They definitely need replacement. Several other updates have been completed at KH facilities. This just ensures, activities, will be working and the facilities will be up to par at Kenneth Henderson. So recommending approve as presented.
Administration is asking us to approve this as presented. No motion.
I'll move to approve bleacher part-time seating of Henderson as presented for $88,271.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the state contract from Heartland Seating for Kenneth Henderson bleachers. For discussion.
Maybe, is this in the long-term facilities plan or is this a new?
It's in the long range plan in the sense of we allocated funds towards it for our overall grounds improvements. We have grounds improvements in the long range plan as a placeholder of a total sum of money. And then we define the projects each year on
And I'm not really questioning the decision. I was just curious about the process.
it is in this year's budget, part of the allocation for grounds improvements.
Yeah, I have a comment too, Mr. President. Yep. Or just a comment more. I'm all for KH and improving the facilities over there. There is such a desire for that community to have their own facilities. That said, we talked since the development of the high school and the high school football stadium to be at the high school and not at Memorial. Memorial was to be kept up as Memorial Stadium. That was to be a facility for both middle schools. And so I just put that out there because that was the rationale of, keeping up the AstroTurf and that type of thing. So, and we ended up as a community with 3 AstroTurf football fields. And since then, I hope the education is out there on the thriftiness of that type of a field, as opposed to grass turf. I'm just putting it out there because we had historically had quite the conversation about to what extent do we keep up Memorial Stadium. And so from a long-term facility standpoint, I never seen that to be anything other than to keep up Memorial Stadium. Nothing sacred about it. It's just what we have done. And so this sort of moves us in a new direction. Not really, because they need to practice. They need to have safe facilities. We've had other conversations about KH field out there and the broader facility needing to have good grass, which costs money and costs water, but safely conduct our activities there. So it's just notable. We've had so much focus on keeping up Memorial Stadium as a shared facility. It's just noteworthy. So I'm noting it and not objecting, but just something we need to continue to put out there in our long range planning, how we're going to shift things around.
So obviously, football season's upon us, so this is gonna be for next year. And I'm aware of, but could you just talk about what's been done to, the improvements been made to get us through this season and then the future?
Well, there was a ton of overseeding for sure. The facilities and grounds look good, right?
Overseeding, aerating, watering, mowing, trimming. I mean, pretty much everything under the sun was done to get that field up and available and ready for football season. There were some updates and repairs done to the KH bleachers as well, to make sure that they were ready for football season. what we had to do, since that was kind of something that we were reacting to last year that kind of came up in our long range plan of what we need to do to have the KH facility ready for football season. We knew that the bleachers needed to then be budgeted into this fiscal year because we didn't have that aligned in last year's. So pretty much as soon as we felt comfortable with where the budget and what projects could be funded this year, they pulled the trigger and starting to get then the quote working in the Heartland seating to come out and start giving them an idea on what the installation and total cost looks like. So that means that it's likely going to be installed in December or January, but it would be hopefully ready for spring sports.
And I bring that up just for the sole purpose of, I went by there, I looked at the facility, it looks amazing. It's totally been redone, it looks great, I wanted everybody to know that, so.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Randy. I mean, I think last year, beginning of the football season, we had some water issues through the summer and the grass was dead and the field wasn't really safe for practice or games. And our plant facilities, personnel went to work hard and really got that facility looking good. It looks fantastic this year. So hopefully it'll be a safe field and a good field for the students at KH. Is there any more discussion?
Just a quick question. It looks like this quote, they say it was good through the 6th of September. Is it reconfirmed they're still gonna honor this?
Yep.
Been moved and seconded that we approve it. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Done. All right, we'll move on to item G-3. Consider and approve Garden City High School's out-of-state travel for the 2023-24 school year.
Speak to this one too, is Garden City High School out-of-state trips for the 23-24 season. Of course, you have cross-country, basketball, wrestling, and so forth, but you also have FFA, newspaper, and national robotics. You have the litany of English-speaking union, Shakespeare, Nationals to New York, UNC vocal jazz. So we have Keisha events and also non-Keisha events, international thespian, peer leadership, art club to Denver. So we're asking the board to look at it. These trips are vital for the enrichment, educational, extracurricular experience that our students have and get to partake in. And that's part of our essential and holistic development of everybody being engaged, enriched, empowered. So there's a summary listed, and if you have any questions, now's the time.
Question that we approve the out-of-state travel for the 2023-2024 school year. We have a motion.
I move we approve the out-of-state travel.
Second. Been moved and seconded that we approve Garden City High School's out-of-state travel for the 2023-2024 school year. Is there any discussion? No discussion. Favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, we'll move on to G-4. Consider and approve the IEP reviewer services agreement. Josh Guy, will speak to this.
So you all should have a copy of it. So just a quick historical piece to this. So we've had an IEP reviewer in the special education office for quite a few years. That position, the individual that was in that position has taken a position in the buildings now and come back to the classroom, left an opening there and didn't really feel like it was a good use of staff to pull somebody out of the classroom to be the IEP reviewer. So Gina Galpin, the new director of special education, has kind of been talking to some folks that are retired that could do that work. And so we kind of put an agreement together. So the money's budgeted to cover the cost of the position because the position's not been filled. And so this would just meet the needs that we have in a alternative way.
So is the position, the responsibilities of the position changing, or just how you, the person you hired?
Just the way that we're doing it. So they're still gonna do the reviews and things. It's just, it'll be contracted. And so instead of getting paid as a contracted staff member, they get paid by the IEP that they're reviewing.
And that's remotely done. That's not,
It can be. Mhm.
but it may be,
Most of them, I think, are gonna be remotely done. Yeah. Everything's online now, so they can do all that online.
These people will meet the same requirements and
Yeah, and actually, one of the individuals that's gonna do it, the last couple of years has kind of helped out at the end of the year, when we get in the pickle and, you know, around April, when everybody turns in their IEPs and we hit that deadline for the end of the year, there's a ton of IEPs that end up there. And so one of them, is a former school psych of ours that has come in the last couple of years and helped. And so I think she's one that would be contracting with us. And then I think we've got a couple of other retired teachers, that special education teachers that'll be doing that too, which our reviewer in the past was a special education teacher.
You may have multiple people. You may have multiple people doing that. Then.
Yeah, correct. And 2 or 3, Andy, would probably be realistically what we're looking at.
Okay.
so you've had multiple in the past, just from your.
Yeah, well, yeah, one that did it and then one that we picked up just kind of part-time to pick up with the heavy lifting at the end of the year.
Questions for Josh? Our administration is also recommending that we this evening.
I would so move.
Second.
Seconded that we, it's been moved and seconded that we approve IEP reviewer services agreement. Is there any more discussion? It's been moved that we approve the IEP reviewer services agreement. All in favor, please say aye.
I
All opposed, same sign. Move on to,
Next one could be a challenge. Mr. President.
yeah,
I say affection.
move on to, G.5, consider and approve the updated long-term settlement agreement. Got it?
So we already have this agreement in place. I think our hope is there are some long-term subs, I think, that would be interested in taking advantage of this. But some of the requirements, one of the things that we talked about is taking 9 hours a semester while they're still teaching full-time has been, I think, a struggle for some people. And so we wanted to lower that to 6 hours a semester. Really, the only changes that we're recommending is to lower from 9 hours to 6 hours. And the other would be, instead of working with the district for 2 years, as long as they've successfully worked for us for at least 1 year, then they would be eligible for this agreement. Those are our recommendations. The agreement otherwise would stay the same. We're just going to change our recommendation would be to change it from 2 years to 1 and from 9 hours to 6 hours per semester. And the hope is, through that, we get, at the end of that, then by signing this agreement, they're going to give us 2 years. Once they've completed their teaching degree, they'll agree to work for us for 2 years. So our hope is that we're going to be filling some of those positions. So kind of hedging our bets for down the road, some of these folks.
So you say the hope is, or is there going to be a requirement?
There is a requirement, yes. Yeah, but I mean, if they leave, then they'll have to pay that money back, is how that works. Yes, Mark. But the hope is that we're going to get more people to attract them, I guess. I should have worded that differently. My apologies.
We're definitely trying to grow our own.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a question, but I want to get the thing on the table first.
Okay. Administration is also requesting that we approve the long-term substitute agreement this evening.
Also moved.
Second,
Second.
it's been moved and seconded that we approve the long-term sub agreement. Is there any discussion?
With Mr. Guyman here, I would just like to hear in a phrase how we support those individuals, because what we're doing is lowering the standards so that
So-
we can.
By entering this agreement, they would qualify for benefits. They would qualify for benefits through the district and they can get benefits as a long-term sub.
And then there they are, but they're still fairly new to the whole teaching young minds environment. So how do we support them in that?
As far as being a long-term sub,
Yeah,
yeah,
how do
so,
we scaffold them or whatever?
so Barb Hochschild, who was a former principal of ours, that's kind of her job. So she goes and meets regularly with all the long-term subs to do like coaching with them. She plans professional development, does all those things to support them and.
So she comes with the principal, collaborates with the principal and with them.
She meets with them individually and helps, yeah. And then if the principals have concerns, then she works with them on what those concerns would be. Yes, sir.
I just make that point because teaching is not an easy job.
No, and we also have they're still gonna have PLCs that they'll go to, instructional coaches that'll be there to provide that support, but Barb's job is specifically for long-term subs.
And so I applaud the initiative, this is the kind of thing we've got to do. But we don't want to leave them out there, and I know we don't. That's why I thought it was appropriate if you would, as you said, a few words about how we support them as in those school environments.
Sure.
Be successful. Thank you.
Any other comments?
I just comment, I think it's a win-win. I think it's a great idea. Because if it doesn't work out, then we get reimbursed the money anyway that we shelled out to them. I think it's definitely worth a try.
Curriculum and instruction also had trainings over the summer for the long-term subs. So they were part of the training. So they were invited to come in and train the new staff.
That was first days of school, habits of a productive teacher, a strong teacher. So, I mean, Fred Jones, Harry Wong, some really strong curriculum and instruction ties to being successful. So.
And we have them come to all of our PD that we do, all of our PD days. They'll participate throughout the year. So September 25th is our next professional development day and they'll be included on that as well. But Barb meets with them as a group once a month to provide stuff specifically for long-term subs.
Discussion on the long-term subgroup. It's been moved and seconded that we approve and update the long-term sub agreement. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
You,
Yep, thanks, Josh. Move on to G.6. Consider and approve the bid for a pre-owned pickup plant facilities in the amount of $67,500.
So it's to replace some older vehicles and get some grounds staff a newer pickup to replace older fleet. Inventory is pretty low, so you can see out of the 4 vendors, we only received 1 bid. Our staff went and checked out the vehicle and think it'll fit their needs, so why we're recommending you purchase that truck from Western Motor.
You mentioned that it was to replace another truck. What do we do when we're getting rid of an older truck?
If it's past its lifespan, it can be sold on Purple Wave, which is usually our auctioneer that we typically do. Sometimes it's gifted down the line to one of the newer staff members to replace one of theirs, and so it's just a trickle effect typically. And then whatever's at the bottom of that usually gets auctioned off, because it's end of life, or we are spending continuous funds on maintaining and repairing and everything. So,
Does facilities have some kind of, do you have a rotation, or I guess, do they have a rotation?
it needs to be updated, I'll say that. So that's on our plant facilities director's vision right now. A lot of our maintenance vehicles, the cargo vans, are older and need to be replaced. So in the last fiscal year, we replaced 4 of those maintenance vans. And so with that, it's updating logos and making sure that they have the right equipment and racks and things in it. Because we have several that are kind of around town that have really caused a lot of issues for maintenance and transmissions, and they're over 200,000 miles. So it's definitely something that we have where it's aligned with the budget allocation that we put towards plant facilities vehicles each year. But we're looking at a long range plan right now. Transportation has one.
It's different than transportation where our buses have certain requirements.
Yes, sir.
This is just kind of plant facilities director decides when he's got a problem or when he needs to.
Get some updates. Make sure the staff have dependable vehicles. So we don't want them stranded out with mowers and such.
That's for free pickup facilities.
I make a motion to approve the bid.
Second.
It's seconded that we approve the bid for pre-owned pickup for plant facilities in the amount of $67,500. Is there any discussion?
Pickups are expensive.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the bid for the pre-owned pickup for plant facilities. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Move on to G7. Consider and approve a bid for a Yale material handler for plant facilities in the amount of $22,746. Colleen, you want to give us a little bit of background on this?
Sure. Sorry, I had my thing open and now it's closed. Okay. This is the forklift for the storage facility. I provided the board the summary table that showed the breakdown of the total costs, what was quoted to the board on total expenses, how close we've come in to what that original quote was. So this forklift will be for the storage facility to move the pallets of furniture and equipment around the building, stack it onto the commercial grade shelves that you just approved. The difference between the two, first off, all of the majority of the forklifts already at plant facilities are Yale. So there's a consistency in the same type of equipment. That's nice. The quote that was provided by Lift Parts Service LLC. The clearance of the forklift was 2 inches. We need at least 3 inches to get the forklift around the building, in and out of the building. So that's why it was removed, because it didn't meet specifications.
So you had said earlier that this is like on a 30-month back order or something.
I meant 30 to 36 weeks, not months. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Josh was like months or weeks, and I was like, weeks. And I was like, what did I say?
I might have misheard that.
Yeah, that was totally me. My bad.
So when they're back ordered like that, do we pay the full amount or do we put a portion down and then we pay the rest when we receive it, or how does that process work?
Payment upon receipt.
Was this was originally budgeted in the,
Yep, so in the storage facility presentation, we requested a total of 350,000. With this purchase, we're about 8,000 over, 8,900 change. So pretty close on the overall project. Since we are also on 2 different fiscal years, this purchase has been included in the equipment orders and improvements for the buildings for this fiscal year. So it's budgeted to cover that $8,000 difference.
Would move to be approved if we're ready. Questions for Colin? Seconded that we approve it for Yale Material Handling for plant facilities. $22,746. Is there any more discussion? Moved and seconded that we approve the bid for the Yale Material Handler for plant facilities. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, let's move on to G8. Consider and approve a bid for a mid-size SUV transportation department in the amount of $45,000. Colleen, do you want to speak to this?
Sure. So this is to update aging fleet vehicles as well. Currently, we only have one SUV separate from the Suburbans for smaller like administration trips. So most of the Suburbans are used for activities trips. We have currently just one Honda Pilot that is used for training for principals, recruiting, in service for administration. So this is to help update fleet, make sure that we have another vehicle that's available for administrative purposes so that we have enough vehicles to go around for all the trips.
There's 65,000 in this year's budget to try to purchase 2. This is taking 45. What's the plan for a second vehicle?
Cash balances within supplemental general fund. So it's been several years since we have purchased the vehicles for transportation. The last several years, the budget has been 65,000. So there's cash balances there to cover the $9,950 that is remaining between the SUV and the sedan that are both on here for approval.
Administration's asking for approval of this as well.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the bid for a mid-size SUV for the transportation department in the amount of $45,000. Is there any other discussion? It's been approved, or moved and seconded that we approve the bid for the mid-size SUV. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, we'll move on to G9. Consider and approve a bid for a mid-size sedan for transportation, the amount of $29,950. Speak to this.
Sure. This is to replace some of the older Ford Fusions that we have on our lot that are higher mileage. Same kind of issues, high maintenance, stranding people. We want to make sure that we are continuing to update our fleet, especially with vehicles that are used quite often. The most recent, purchases are 2019 Ford Fusions, so we've had a little bit of gap in replacement of our fleets, fleet vehicles for transportation. So that's what this purchase is. It's for one sedan.
What are the oldest ones we have?
The oldest Ford Fusions,
Or I guess around approximately, this would be.
I think like 2008 maybe. I know we have a couple older ones that are doing like a driver's ed out at the high school. But that's off the top of my head on that one. I could look at inventory and tell you for sure, but
What's the primary use for these vehicles?
activity trips and trainings for staff and a variety, any and all things.
Is that kept at the bus barn?
Yes, sir.
Constantine? Administration is asking for approval of this bid.
I move we approve the bid for the mid-size sedan.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the bid for mid-size sedan for the transportation department in the amount of $29,950. Is there any more discussion? It's been moved and seconded that we approve the bid for the mid-size sedan for transportation. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We move on to G10. Consider and approve purchase of functional academics curriculum for RISE classrooms. Josh, go ahead.
So we're asking approval. We're kind of doing things a little in reverse with this one. Typically, we have it go to curriculum council first and then bring it to you all for approval. We would like to have training for the curriculum on the 25th. For this curriculum, if it's approved, they're scheduled to go to curriculum council tomorrow night. So we're just asking for approval, pending approval from curriculum council as well. So just kind of going in reverse. And the only reason for that is for the training that got scheduled on the 25th for it. So the RISE stands for Reaching Independence Through Structured Environments. And so that's going to be our most significant, significantly delayed intellectual disabilities students. And so we've really not had a curriculum for them in the past. A lot of it is teachers just kind of putting things together through trainings and different things that they've had. And so this curriculum, I think, will be really good for our teachers and will help with consistency as well, because it'll be something that'll start in Garfield in the RISE rooms at Garfield and go all the way up to Garden City High School as they progress with the program. I would also, oh, sorry, John, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, but you said this is going to the curriculum council tomorrow night.
Yes, sir.
So does it need to be approved this evening for it to be on the agenda for the 25th, or could we approve it on our meeting on the 18th? And let the curriculum council review it before we approve it?
The 18th we can't because that's a special board meeting, and so we have to just meet on specifically what that says. The only other thing I was going to say is I know that some of the SPED staff have talked and worked with some folks in Hayes, and they're using the curriculum at Hayes and have seen really good results with it. So through their conversations with them and working with the company, I think they feel like it's a viable curriculum for the program.
Now, this is curriculum through what age?
It'll be pre-K 12.
Right, classrooms do we have?
We have one at Garden City High School that's 9-12. The one at Charles Stone's is actually 5-8. We reduce a transition there so they don't go to middle school. And then Victor and Alice and we actually opened another one this year at Edith Sharman. So we have 2 campuses there, and then I think 1 or 2 at Garfield.
Make a comment. I understand that you're looking for approval on this tonight, but I think in the future, I would definitely want any curriculum that's brought to.
Sure.
To go through the curriculum council.
And tomorrow's their first time that they're meeting, and so just the timing wise is kind of why we're doing it this way, John.
If we approve this and the curriculum council doesn't like it.
Then we don't go forward.
Because we can make the motion
We can
stating
add
that
that
we're
in the-
And that would be my recommendation.
Contention.
Yeah,
the curriculum.
yeah, we
I
can't
do,
go forward
I do
without their,
prefer it to go the other way and have us,
yeah.
allow us a little time, but it's contingent to their approval, so then
Yeah.
it wouldn't, if for some reason they didn't approve it, then we would, yeah,
We'd start over.
that kind of needs to be included in the motion.
So I certainly willing to second her motion.
Okay.
It's been moved that we approve the functional academics curriculum for the RISE classrooms with the caveat that if the curriculum council does not approve it, that we scratch it. That'd be a fair motion.
Layman terms.
Is there a second? Yes, sir. Okay. Any more discussion on functional academics curriculum for the RISE classrooms? All right, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the functional academics curriculum. The caveat that if the curriculum council doesn't like it, that we scratch it. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Move on to G11. The first read on BoardWorks purchase.
So, BoardWorks is a supplemental, program that, is all standards based. It's a K-12 program. And so basically, if you have a student, say in 4th grade, that's having trouble with, place value to the thousandths place, you can go on and click on that specific standard, and there'll be activities that you can pull up to support and give them some reinforcement in that. And so special education is asking for that to support the kiddos like that are on IEPs that need some extra reinforcement in some of those areas.
How is that different than the tutoring? The online tutoring,
So online tutoring
or
is
what, I don't remember what it's called specifically, but.
Tutor Me, I
Thank you.
think is what it is. That's just if I'm working on something and I don't know how to do it, I can call a tutor and they can kind of walk me through it in real time. That's an access for the students. This would be more of a resource for the teachers. It'd be more standards based. I think the benefit to this is, I think it would really help our teachers when they've got specific goals. They can pull resources and things that will help to support those students on their IEP goals. They'll be more standard specific.
And is this specifically for SPED or is this open to?
Well, it would be, SPED would be the one that's requesting it because we're using some of our ESSERS funds, SPED ESSERS funds that are allocated, but it would be open to everybody. Everybody would be able to use it.
And then not trying to open another can of worms here, but there's some curriculums that are implemented at times and teachers are instructed to strictly use that curriculum. Not
So this
necessarily
really isn't a
supplement.
curriculum. This really isn't a
Right, but it would be
curriculum.
considered a
It'd
supplement.
be something that they could use to supplement it. So this would be, to me, this would be like, if I'm a special education teacher, and like I said, I've got this, the kid's gonna be in math, and they're gonna be working on that, and then when they come to me in the resource room to work on it, I can pull these activities and I can work on that to reinforce what the teacher's teaching in the classroom, those specific standards that they're working on in the classroom.
And I guess
That's where I see that.
right, and I guess I was questioning getting the most bang for our buck if there were teachers
say in the elementary level, that.
Yeah.
Where they teach so many, have so many different levels within a classroom, if they have access to
Yeah.
that or not and are allowed to use it.
It would be open to everybody. That's I think our vision for that.
It's ready-made resources for the teacher, so it really does empower the teacher.
Right.
So they can pull.
There's just been some contradictions in the past with new curriculums.
Yeah.
Like math curriculums were implemented or reading in there, they want teachers initially to just use
Correct.
that curriculum without supplements so they can see whether it's working.
Yeah.
So I just want to make scripts including our teachers
You know, I
all of
think
a sudden can use supplements.
what we don't want is, we don't want them using this to replace their curriculum,
Right.
because it's not a curriculum, but this would be supplements that would support what they're working on. And it's K-12 in all of the core subjects, so at the elementary level, you're gonna have math and ELA primarily, but when you get to the high school, then it'll be in the middle school, it'll be more math, ELA, science, social studies, based on their standards.
Does a supplemental program like this go through review at the curriculum council? Well,
It's not a curriculum, so in my mind, it wouldn't go to curriculum council, Andy.
Was there someone that requested this, or does someone in the administration or someone have experience with it? So how did this?
I've used it in the past, but we definitely needed to encumber some or ESSER sped funds. And this one, as you can see, high school, algebra 1, algebra 2, geometry, history, US history, world history, but then all the way down. But this price is a 3-year quote, so that's a pretty good 3-year price. Once you buy it, you have it forever, and then it's just updating the digital, the 5,500 annually. So we went ahead and did the first year, and then get a quote for 2 more years for 3 years total. So that's a 3-year quote. And we did need ESSER sped money allocated. It's got to be spent.
Encumbered by the end of this month and liquidated by December 30.
Is this something you'll be able to track to see if it's utilized
Absolutely.
by teachers? I mean, I hope it is. It sounds like a good thing. I just was.
It'll be with the teacher, not with the students. So the
Right.
teachers themselves would be the ones.
Because I don't want it to be, oh, well.
Yeah, that's the other
We
thing.
just keep paying for it because
Right.
we have it if it's not being used.
That's the really nice thing about it too, is there's no, like a lot of the other programs where you have student logins that the kids have to remember. It's none of that. The teachers actually, it's all teachers' passwords, and so they'll be able to get that in there and give it out to the kids.
They can print it.
Or
they can
push it out on
they
Shelby
can-
or, something like that, Google Classroom.
That would just be something I'd be interested in later reported back on. I mean, even if it was 3 years since it has, if it's being utilized or not.
I was researching it online a little bit today, and one of the concerns I had was the pass part of it, where they basically evaluate students and they collect data on students based on where they're at and what they learn, and they can, will we be getting parental approval before we can basically use that portion of this?
And then, so the pass part, I'm not sure I'm following, but we can definitely, we have to get teacher and parent approval every 4 months, regardless if we're taking a survey. So I might fall under that, but I'm not sure on that component of it.
Yeah, I was just looking online, and they have
So-
basically like a 15-minute online kind of survey for the students. And it tells them, it talks about like where they're at academically, but also social, emotional, like, it seems like a little bit invasive to me without parental.
A little intrusive, it sounds
A
like.
bit intrusive, because it does collect data on students that.
And it goes to the
Sometimes
company or the
I'm
teachers.
assuming if it's on their website, they have access to that, but I think it's more of a resource for the district as well. If they survey their kids, they can kind of see which level the kids are at, maybe help them academically. So there may be some value to it, but at the same time, I think that before we do a test on everyone's kid.
We'll definitely delve into that for sure.
And there's a non-academic survey of any kind. And that's provided that. That's That's not what I was envisioning doing with it at all.
Yeah, I was just looking at it online since you brought it to us, so that was just one of the things. There's a lot of good stuff about it. That was one of the things that I just saw that kind of, sure, make sure we discussed.
Again, this is first read.
Yeah, so we got time to research it.
Absolutely. Yep, and if you have any questions, let me know and I'll do my best to find the answers for you.
Sure.
I'd
Thank
like
you.
to add one additional comment on that too. It would be a good supplemental support for our long-term subs, especially those that are in the science classrooms.
Can I ask you a quick question along those lines? I'm sorry, when you said, did you say science?
Yes.
Are teachers are being asked to teach science, or do we,
Long-term subs are teaching science for us.
group subs are coming in to provide that service? That's okay, very good, thank you.
Just doing the research, there is a lot of tools to that, and I just want to reiterate what Jennifer was talking about, that it doesn't replace their, doesn't replace their curriculum. It's used as a supplemental, because there are, you could assign something every day for the kids and not use it. Right. Like you need. All right, we'll move on to board open discussion.
Thought of anything yet.
I might just comment that we're rolling along in the school year, and there's a lot of neat things happening, and of course, a lot of little adjustments that just have to be made by team members in the various schools. And we also have traditions in there. We have, I think, this spirit buffalo that I haven't seen for a while, but I know he's out there. That's painted up, and I think the notion there is a certain grade school gets the team buffalo for a week. There's, to the extent, I guess, kids are available, we get high school students come in and pump up the team activity in the high school, and being a buff, being part of the herd. And I could be getting this wrong, but essentially then have the opportunity maybe to represent their school by helping bring on the buffaloes at a football game, for example. Those are fun traditions. And in our challenge and in our just list of things we have to get accomplished, I hope we're able to continue those. And to the extent that maybe we get strapped with staff available to say, move the buffalo to the next school, or things like that. I hope that, Stuco or whoever's in charge of those kind of things, reach out to community members. Because I know there's at least one school board member that's willing to donate some time to help transfer something from one school to the other, as opposed to the alternative, which would be to tell the school and get it to you this week, kind of thing. And so it's just an encouragement there that, we're doing a great job, I think, of adapting, not only with what we have for the mission that we have, but also to do it in an exceptional way. And I just think part of that is making sure we communicate so that community members can be a part of it if that's needed. And to the extent that would be appropriate. So that's just a
I just want to bring up, again, the field at Cage looks amazing. Work that's been done. It looks like a brand new facility. It's disappointing that it got to that in the first place. And we know why, and a lot of those people aren't here no more in that, but I think, Mr. Wharton talked about taxes going up, and I think it's critical that we remain frugal with, trying to keep our facilities up, because there's a lot of them. Vehicle, we get a rotation going, make sure we stay on top of that. So there's a lot of big expenses, and I think it's just, we all be mindful that, and I think we're doing that. I'm not saying we're not. I just think it's important that we continue down that path to be frugal with the money we have and how we're spending funds.
Dr. Lucas?
We're just still excited. Curriculum and instruction, Dr. Rock alluded to helping long-term subs. Thank you for the long-term sub agreement. I think that will truly continue us down the path. We are going to have to grow our own, create our own teachers if that's a pathway that enables someone to go from a long-term sub to be in our class, and then they stay with us at least a year. It may take them 3 years to get their degree. Well, that's 4 more years, and that just gets them further down the road. So that thank you all for your vision and your sight on that. And then we're just excited. We're still moving forward. We need to get the Spirit Buffalo moved around there, as Mark Root alluded to, but other than that, we're doing well. It's been an exciting year and been a smooth start, so we just got to keep moving forward.
Thank you guys, everyone, for your comments. Our next board meeting, next Board of Education meeting will take place on Monday, September 18th, 2023 at 6 p.m. in the board meeting room at the Educational Support Center at 1205 Fleming Street, Garden City, Kansas.
You know, I would move, Mr. President, that we consider adjourning.
Second.
All right, we moved in seconds and we adjourn. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.